Today I want to talk to you about a myth that's really common in the New Age spiritual communities, and that is the myth that you somehow need to be special to become a healer. Now, in some ways this myth can actually turn out to be positive. You know those scenarios where maybe you go and visit a psychic and they tell you that you have healing hands, and this encourages you to go on and become a healer. Maybe you're working on your friend, giving her a massage, and she can feel that apart from just the massage, there's a little bit of energy, and she looks up at you surprised and says, "Wow, your hands are really hot. You know, you're amazing. You've got healing hands." And again, this encourages you to go on and explore your healing further. Where the myth becomes a problem, however, is for those people who maybe don't receive such encouragement. They often look at healers and think, "Wow, I wish I could do what they do," but they think, "You know what? I just don't have their ability. I'm not a born healer, and as a result, I can't go out and do that." And so this is where the myth becomes a big problem. But the actual truth of the matter is this: everyone is a natural healer. It's an inborn, innate ability that we all have, much like learning to walk or learning to speak. We can all do it with a bit of practice. Now, if you doubt this, think of it like this. What do you do when you feel maybe a sharp pain in your body? You immediately put your hand on that area which is hurting. It soothes it. What do you do when there's a friend in trouble? You know, when a friend's hurting, either emotionally or physically, you often put your arms around that friend. And what do you do when you want to think harder? You put your hands like this. Well, what are you doing in all these situations? You're actually giving your friend or yourself energy. Now, it might only be a small amount, but energy is being transferred from you through to them, and this comforts them. This might dull the pain if there's pain. This will soothe them if there's emotional issues. So even from these basic examples, is it clear that everyone can kind of use energy on some basic level? The problem, however, is that if you think that you need to be special to be able to do this healing, then you won't really even attempt it, and you'll always be kind of barred from the halls of healing. So what you really need to remember is this: your body is like a machine, and this machine is pretty well identical to the machines of all those healers that you might revere. You're basically made out of the same stuff, the same DNA. And so what they can do, you can do. Now, maybe it naturally awakens in them more easily, but truth is, as I said, the machinery is the same. So with effort, you can actually become a great healer. Now, if this is true, then you might ask yourself, do I actually need to attend a course to learn to heal? And the truth is, you don't. Anyone can become a healer without a course. I mean, this is only logical when you think back to the founders of any healing system who taught them, and very often they just discovered a healing method on their own. But just because you don't need to go to a course or learn from someone to heal, that doesn't mean that it isn't a good idea. Because if you learn from someone experienced in healing, it's a bit like them providing you with a map. Sure, you can get from A to B without the map. You know, you can traverse the jungle, but if you've got the map and it shows you the paths, then you can cross the terrain in a far shorter time, and you can avoid many of the pitfalls. Another thing I've noticed too, and I've taught thousands of people over the past 10 plus years, is that a lot of people who come already with some natural kind of a healing within them that's already awoken, well, when they learn a bit more system and structure and they learn from someone with more experience than them, then what often happens is their natural healing abilities really expand. Now, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're curious about Reiki, which is what I personally teach, and you might be wondering, well, what can Reiki do for me? Well, the name Reiki actually comes from two Japanese characters, one Rei and the other Ki. Now, Rei, you can kind of translate as spiritual, literally it means spirit, but spiritual is the best translation here, and Ki just means energy. Ki is Japanese for Chi, which is Chinese, so it's a kind of learning to tap into what you might call spiritual energy. And the beautiful thing about Reiki is that it's just so quick. You know, in some systems, you have to really work hard for years. I remember going along to a Tai Chi class once, and the instructor was a very good instructor, but maybe because he was good and he understood the depth of Tai Chi, he said something which was a little bit depressing at the start of the class, and to kind of paraphrase him, he said, "You'll be pretty crappy for about 7 years, and then you might start to get it." Now, I'm sure if you practice Tai Chi, you're going to get benefits a lot quicker than that. But still, the beautiful thing about something like Reiki is that you actually see benefits right away, even on the first day of a course. So this ki, this chi, which for many people is a little bit abstract, is something you'll actually feel right on the first day of a course. It's something you'll be able to connect to and then use to work on yourself, to kind of heal yourself and others. Now you might say, well, what's the benefit of this? What is Qi going to do? Well, on a very fundamental level, the beautiful thing about connecting to Qi is it helps you connect to what I call your inner self. And if you think, well, I don't know, inner self, that sounds a bit abstract, then I just want you to think back maybe to a time where you've had a really good meditation session. You know that feeling when you're meditating, you just feel this kind of calmness all through. You feel very centered, you feel very connected to everything. Or maybe you haven't had much meditation or done any meditation, but you still would have had moments where maybe you're just lying on a beach, you know, walking through a forest, in some state where you just feel very at peace, very at ease. And in this state, you're connecting with what I'd call your inner self. And so Reiki is great for doing that. As a result of this, you know, when you really learn to use this energy to kind of feed yourself and connect to this inner self, you'll find that it's brilliant for reducing stress. You know, these days, a lot of people are kind of workaholics, or they find it very difficult to slow down. And so having a tool that can center themselves, that can kind of connect them to some deep part of themselves, is a huge blessing. Reiki is also very good for things like anxiety and depression. It's great for just having more energy. I mean, on this basic level, you're connecting to this ki, you're feeding yourself with it. And so that gives you a lot of energy to go out and get things done and just have enthusiasm for life. You find it's very good just for being kind of calm and focused. Again, a problem a lot of us have today is there are so many distractions, you know, mobile phones, text messages, you know, people, everything all around us, and it's hard to kind of really stay clear, sharp, and focused on any one thing. And so working with Reiki helps us kind of center ourselves and then stay focused. It's also great for developing your intuition. You know, that just little voice inside your being which tells you what to do, which kind of guides you when you listen to it. It's also good for just developing kind of passion and drive in things. Again, a lot of people are busy these days, but they're not necessarily enthusiastic and passionate about what they do. So Reiki can often kind of help you understand where you should be putting your efforts, you know, what work, what things you should be doing with your time. That's kind of the intuitive component, but then it gives you the energy and the enthusiasm to go and do it really well. Lastly, I'll just mention Reiki's good for physical conditions. Now, you're not allowed, if you're a Reiki practitioner, to promise any kind of medical results. But I will say that from my experience, people who have been doing Reiki have often received, or in the time they've been practicing Reiki, have found that their health has really improved. Now, maybe this is just a coincidence, and again, I'm not allowed to make any medical claims here, but I do find these coincidences interesting. Let me just say that. Now, another really good thing about Reiki, which I mentioned, is that it's not just about working on yourself. It actually gives you a tool to work and heal others, you know, to give them the same benefits we've just talked about when you work on yourself. And I remember one of the things which frustrated me when I started out meditating 20 plus years ago was that although I was having really great personal experiences, I couldn't share these experiences. And when I talked to my friends about the benefits and the beauty, in a sense, of meditation, they'd look at me kind of confused and say, so let me get this straight, you kind of sit on a mat and you try not to think for an hour? And they're like, yeah, that sounds really, really exciting. You know, give me some of that. And, you know, all I wanted to do was be able to kind of take the feelings I got when I meditated and kind of plop them in the person and go, aha, now feel this. And then they would have understood, but I couldn't do it with meditation. But the thing is, with Reiki, suddenly I had a tool to be able to go, okay, I know you don't really understand what I'm talking about, but, you know, sit here or lie down on this table, let me go to work. And then, you know what, very, very often they're like, whoa, now I feel it. They then kind of catch a glimpse of that inner self. And for many people, maybe they've never really fully understood what it is to connect to their inner self, what some people might even call their higher self. And so it's a really profound experience, one which could even shape, the trajectory of the rest of their life. So it's an amazing gift that you can give to other people. Now, interestingly, Reiki is about more than just the hands-on healing. And I'll just mention one other key benefit that people get when they study at least a classical Japanese Reiki system, and that is that it really helps kind of ground them and develop a strong inner energetic core. Now, you might say, well, what's the virtue of that? Well, if you're watching this video, chances are very high that you're a little bit more energetically sensitive than most people. You might find that speaking to that needy friend of yours, the one you often help out, often leaves you feeling a bit drained. You might find that going into certain environments, it could be kind of, rush hour, kind of inner city, with people kind of milling about everywhere. Maybe that kind of drains you of energy. It could just be other, basic negative energetic environments, and when you're in them, you just feel really depleted. And in a sense, you want to stay open and sensitive and connected to the world around you, but it can be a painful experience. And so what Reiki does is it teaches you to really strengthen your inner energetic core, in particular kind of like your lower chakras, so that you can be what I call the mountain. The mountain doesn't look out over the horizon and go, oh my God, there's a storm there, It's solid. It says, okay, come to me, storm. The rains can lash down, the lightning can strike, but it just stands there solid as a mountain, and it's not troubled by it. So it doesn't need to flee. It doesn't have to hide in its room. It can just stay where it is and happily just take the rain because it has that solid inner core. And so that's a beautiful thing that the traditional Japanese Reiki systems give you. Now, whether you want to do Reiki or not, though, if you want to become a healer, then what I suggest is first believe in your ability to heal. You are a natural healer, everyone is, you can definitely do it. So really what you should be doing is kind of just experimenting a little bit. Put your hands on even just your pet, put your hands on a friend, put your hands on yourself, whatever. And if you want, just intend energy to flow. Now, this isn't going to be Reiki energy flowing, but it doesn't need to be. It will be some sort of healing energy. So just imagine it flowing. And if you're visual, you can visualize energy flowing. If you're not really very visual, just intend energy to flow through your hands. And there's a very good chance you'll actually be surprised by what you begin to feel. Now, if you want to take this further, of course, then I'd suggest you actually take a course in healing, because doing so will most likely save you many, many years of trial and error. It can really fast track your road to becoming a healer. Now, if you are interested in Reiki, then of course, I'd love to have you along at one of our courses. You'll find that Reiki's fun, it's super easy to learn, and if you even have any doubts, we actually guarantee that you'll get it. I know this, as I said, because having worked with thousands of people, there has never been a single case of someone not learning to heal with Reiki. So if you're interested in finding out more about our courses, then you can visit the website down below or give us a call. I'd love to chat to you. And if you feel inspired, I'd love to have you along for a course.